I know it's been a minute since I did a video, and I had somebody on my Facebook page ask me what I have in my kidding kit, and everybody is different. The way we manage our goats is different, so I'm just going to show you how I do things and what I find works really good. So my kidding kit, quote unquote, is pretty simple. I mainly just keep things on hand that I may need. I don't really bring much with me to the actual kidding, and except for what's like in this green tote. I'll go through that in a minute. But I do have other things on hand that I can like go get if it becomes an emergency situation. The biggest thing I love is my wagon right here, and it's got a tote in it. That's a pretty big tote. I got it at Walmart. Let's see, what size is it? That is a 35-gallon, 140-quart tote from Walmart. I think they were like 12 bucks. It's a really good size one because, again, I have standard size Alpines, so need a big tote. And typically I'll put 2 kids in each tote, unless they're kind of small. And I try to keep the birthings together. So like if Odo had twins, they'd go in here. If she had triplets, depending on the size, they could all go in here. My totes, because I pull kids at birth, so the moms aren't like licking them and doing all that. So as soon as the mom births the baby, and I make sure it's breathing and the cord is detached and everything is looking good there, the kids come immediately to this tote in a bunch of towels. So let's go over my kit. In my kit, let me get my tripod and see if that'll help me do this a little bit less shaky. So here's my basics. Paper towels, can't have too many of those. A lot of junky bath towels. Doesn't, just as long as they're clean and dry. Lube. I buy the gallon lube. It's got a nice pump here. This is so much easier because when your hands are all gooey and you're by yourself, you could just, do this. And then something new I added this year is this tube. I've got it in a bag here. This tubing, it's old milk line, Transflow vacuum hose. Anyway, real soft, it's a silicone and tube, and it fits over this nozzle so that if I need to, I can just hook it right to this pump and pump lube into a dough. I don't really like to use gloves. If I do go in just to check a little bit, I wear just my milking gloves. Forgot to put those in here, so I'll grab those. I'll put on just a milking glove, a non-latex glove, and go in and check. If I feel like I'm going to need to go further or it's more involved, we've got the surgical scrub, and I would make sure your nails are trimmed short, make sure you layer on a good layer of this, you scrub it, and then go into the dough. Something else that I love is my Super 7 spray. Never going to be without this stuff. Love it. Super easy. A strap. You never know when you need to restrain a dough. It's always good to have a strap to hold her still. And let's look a little bit at my bin. So I bed my bin with a good layer of shavings on the bottom, and then nice clean soft straw on top to keep the babies nice and dry. I put the gloves in the box now that I remembered, so I get this from Costco along with my paper towels. I get bleach at Costco. I love Costco. And something that I don't have that I'm going to go over in a minute is Caro syrup. I'm actually going to go to Costco and see if they have a big jug of it, because during kidding season, the Caro syrup is really a nice thing to have on hand. Something else I forgot that's on my wagon here, it looks like just an empty bag of shavings, but I purposely cut my shaving bags carefully around the top when I use them. And so then, this is a great bag for all the afterbirth and stuff that I need to clean up afterwards. So I actually carry this on my wagon, and once the afterbirth and stuff is done, I put it in here. I use my fork to clean up a little bit of the area, and because my does stay in the barn, so I just do it like that. Here's some of the other things that I have on hand. I don't necessarily take this like with me. The wagon goes with me and the tote goes with me to the barn. Then this is stuff that I keep like in my milk room or in my house handy close by so I can grab it if I need it. So after the dough is done kidding, I'll have a nice bucket and and this is the item I'm missing some brown sugar. I mix brown sugar and molasses and nice warm water. I also add to that a scoop of the probios. So, and then they usually suck that down really well. They love their molasses water. Something to have on hand that you may or may not need is a syringe like this and a weak kid tube. Should always have these around. Very versatile item. You can use it for giving enemas to babies. You can use it for infusing things into an udder if you don't have a pipette. And you can use it to tube feed those weak kids that we hope we never have. But you need to have these I have two different styles. I actually like this one a little bit better. It's a little softer, a little narrower than that other one. And then a 60 ml nozzle tip syringe to administer that goes together here. Some other things that we need to have on hand in case if you do need to do a uterine flush or something like that, you should have sterile water. Everybody should have sterile water because there's drugs that we need to reconstitute sometimes. I have tons of these bottles of sterile water. If you do need to assist heavily with a birthing, you want to have an antibiotic on hand. Biomycin is really good for uterine. You can flush it directly into the uterus, or you can give it systemically, or both. Let's see, something that I've had for years and years and years and never had to use is this OB saw wire. And I pray to God that I never ever have to use it, but I have it. Because I do a lot of everything myself because I'm on limited finances, so vet calls are very few and far between, and if I can't figure it out, and so it's usually pretty bad. I have seen a vet use this. I've had it for 15 years and I don't ever want to use it, but I have it because that something bad always happens on Sunday at midnight. So you need to have all this stuff on hand ahead of time. Banamine for those rough kittings, you're going to want to have. That's a vet prescription. Make sure this goes back to having your relationship with your veterinarian and being able to get everything you need. Dextrose, just a good solution to have to give those does a little boost of energy if they're struggling or having a hard kitting. Lots of kids. Dextrose. Also, this is where Caro syrup you can use as well. And Caro is really good for the babies for a quick energy if you give it orally. And also, the Caro is good as a laxative for the babies. If they get a little constipated, you can give them 3 cc's of Caros orally. Again, we need to have our drench guns handy. Probios for the moms and babies. Sterile water. I love these wipes for cleaning my tote, the baby poop that gets on the totes. These are great. Get them at Costco. I also need a few more of these. Really good for getting that sticky baby poop off those totes. So that's honestly about it for my kidding kit, I guess. I don't really have one. I just try to have everything on hand that I think I might need. and what I hope I don't need. And just remember that if you do go into a dough, your nails are trimmed, and that you sanitize your hands. What I learned is that the reason they use OB gloves and things like that when they go into a dough is because of the hairs that we have on our skin are actually very abrasive to the vaginal and uterine linings. So it's not necessarily that you're trying to, you are trying to keep things clean, don't get me wrong, but just the texture and hairs on our skin are actually really damaging to those very sensitive linings of the uterus and the vaginal canal. And that's why we should use the gloves, because it makes a nice smooth surface between the two. So yeah, that's about my kidding stuff. Lots of lube, molasses water for your mama. Depending on how you raise your kids, I pull mine, so I will go ahead and then I will take out my milking supplies, some teat spray, paper towels, and a bucket, and go milk her. I just milk her right there. Oh, something else you should have on hand, and I do this. I've talked to my veterinarian about it, and they agree that it's a perfectly fine practice. So it's what I do. Again, I'm not saying that everybody needs to do this, but I do feel like everybody should have some oxytocin on hand. And you should be educated in the proper usage and dosages and everything. I like to make sure that my does clean the placenta within 2 hours, so I always, at birth, when I come back out to milk them out for the colostrum, I give them a shot of oxytocin. And I always start on the low end. I give about 3/4 of a cc to start, and then if I need to, which I've never had to give more than that, I'll give another 3/4, which would get us up to the 1.5, which is the full dose. Or actually 1.75, but anyway, that's just what I keep on hand. I do use a little oxytocin, but I love my wagon because I can put my kids in there and then I wheel it right back up to my house, and I'm not having to run back and forth, each kid. I can just put them in the bin here. Sometimes I have help, but usually I'm by myself, so I just wrap the kid up good in a towel, put it in the bin, and go back and attend to the mother till I get the next kid. And then, so that's how I do it. So that's my kidding kit. Real simple. Paper towels, gloves, lube, some sort of a tube to get large amounts of lube into a dough if you need to, something to restrain your dough, betadine or providine scrub, and then something to collect all the afterbirth and whatnot and clean it up. So I actually haven't had any kids yet this year, so I'm really prepared, and I feel like now that I'm super prepared, I'm probably going to have hopefully I have a good kidding season. And I hope that everybody else does as well. So if you like this video and you found it interesting, please subscribe, and I'll try to keep updating with something new. And if you guys have questions, hit me up on Facebook or add a comment on my YouTube videos and ask me some questions, and I'll see if I could make a video for you. Thanks so much.